Hello everyone, here with another out of character video. The new Multi Prometheus 1 video is nearing completion. It is definitely nearing completion. I even have the final runtime right now. It's about an hour long. I think 55 minutes is the exact runtime. So the fact that I have the exact runtime tells you that it's definitely nearing completion. It should be the next video I upload. Exactly when that is, I'm not exactly sure, but it should be the next video that I upload. Until then, I have another out of character review, and this time I will be reviewing a small independent film that didn't get a lot of attention when it came out last year, but I think deserves some attention, is American Satan. Directed by Ash Alvinson, starring Andy Biersack, Ben Bruce, Malcolm McDowell, and a bunch of other wonderful people. The film is about a group of college kids who decide to all drop out of college and move to Los Angeles to chase their dreams of becoming gigantic rock stars. But as anyone who knows anything about the entertainment industry knows, things don't really work like that, and they keep coming across nothing but closed doors, nothing but people saying no, failure at every turn, and they just get to a point where things really suck for them. And all throughout this time, a strange old man has been following them around and kind of annoying them, and they can't get him to go away either. And eventually, as things get worse and worse for them, this old man reveals himself to be the devil and makes them the type of deal that you would expect from the devil. They accept, and things don't really go according to plan, as deals with the devil rarely do. This whole plot of, making a deal with the devil and it completely backfiring has been done to death. It has been done so many times. Whether being done as, with the actual devil or with another character in a similar situation, this whole plot of making a deal with a supernatural being and it completely backfiring has been done so many times. I think even Shrek did it. I think the fourth Shrek movie involves him making a deal with some villain that completely backfires, so it's been done to death. But this movie does it in a very unique and creative way that I really enjoyed. Now, before I actually get into my in-depth review of the movie, I am going to kind of explain my strange history with it. It was first announced in February of 2016, I think February 20th. Or at least February 20th was when I first saw news articles about it. And at that point, I was just looking forward to it. I was just looking forward to it because the lead actor, it was recently announced, would be Andy Biersack. If you know some of my earlier videos on this channel from a long time ago, from years ago, I am a huge fan of Black Veil Brides. You can see my Black Veil Brides logo necklace in some of my videos. I am a huge, gigantic fan of Black Veil Brides. And if you know anything about them, Andy Biersack is their lead singer. He's also an accomplished solo artist as well. So at first I was just looking forward to the movie because, Andy Biersack's the main character. That's pretty cool. Then Malcolm McDowell was announced as one of the other actors. He was announced as playing the devil. And I thought, oh my gosh, not only is Malcolm McDowell one of my favorite actors, but Malcolm McDowell playing the devil. That sounds amazing. He practically is the devil in all of his other movies, just not called that. So it sounded like perfect casting to me. So not only do you have my favorite musician and one of my favorite actors in a movie together, but one of them is playing a role I feel like he was born to play. So I was really excited about that. Then, as time went on, we got more announcements, we got more information about what the plot was going to be. And when I heard the plot, I was like, wow, this is a really interesting plot. This is a really interesting premise. Combine that with my favorite musician starring in it and one of my favorite actors playing a role he was born to play. I got really pumped for this movie. It sounded really, really, really awesome. Fast forward to October of 2017. October 13th, the movie had a limited release in theaters across the United States. Across the United States. I had already moved to Prague at that point, so I didn't get to see it in theaters, and I was crushed. I was like, no, you're only releasing it in the US, no. But at the same time, independent movie, and it's hard for independent movies to get into even one theater in the first place. But I was really sad I didn't get to see it in theaters. Then they announced that the movie will be coming to DVD and Blu-ray on January 16th. So I went ahead and pre-ordered my Blu-ray, and they said that all orders would be shipped to arrive on the 16th. So everyone should be getting their pre-order copies on the 16th. So I was like, well, yay! That means I get to see the movie sooner than I thought, right? No, it didn't come in on the 16th. But it did get released digitally on digital providers on the 16th. And at that point, I was just like, okay, I cannot wait any longer to see this movie. So even though it's not really what I wanted to do, I spent $6 to rent it digitally the day it came out, even though I already had pre-ordered the Blu-ray. And I didn't really know what I thought about it. I was so excited for it that I kind of overthought it. And so I didn't really know how I felt. So I decided that I was going to wait to do my review until my Blu-ray came in and I could rewatch it in a more objective way. Trying really hard to not overthink it because of my excitement. Trying really hard not to let my love of Andy Biersack and Black Veil Brides, impact or influence my opinion on the film itself as a film. Trying to do that kind of stuff. I waited about a week. It was not until actually exactly a week later, yesterday was a week from the 16th, to where my Blu-ray copy came in. Something looks wrong, doesn't it? This is a DVD case. This is not a Blu-ray case. And it turns out that regardless of whether you pre-ordered the DVD or pre-ordered the Blu-ray, they send you this, regardless of which one you pre-ordered, which is a Blu-ray and DVD combo pack. Which means I could have spent less money to pre-order the DVD and I would have gotten this same thing. That's kind of weird. What's also kind of weird is it's a Blu-ray combo pack, yet it's in a DVD case. That's very unusual. Not only that, but the DVD is first, and the Blu-ray is second. Almost like the Blu-ray is the bonus disc. Since when is a Blu-ray a bonus disc in its own release? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, the only reason why I'm showing you this is just because I think it's funny. Just how not really making sense the release went of the home video. Now that I told you my history with the movie, because it is quite significant, in order to give you an idea of how much I was literally building up this movie in my mind, now that I have seen it twice, I am ready to give my full opinion. My determined, set opinion. This movie's really good. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. I will not say, this is one of the best movies of 2017. It's not perfect. But it is really, really good. First of all, I'm gonna get the obvious surface stuff out of the way. The acting. The biggest problem with this movie is the acting. Some of the performances are great. Malcolm McDowell as the devil is just as amazing as it sounds. He gives the best performance in the movie. It's not just a really good performance compared to everyone else. It's a really good performance in general. Like, he was really convincing and really intimidating, and he did as good of a job as you would expect, hearing that he was going to play this character. In terms of the other actors, most of them are just kind of okay. The acting in the movie is not really anything special, but again, independent movie. You can't really expect that much. But the acting in the movie does kind of suffer in certain places, especially when it comes to the musicians who are playing characters. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, Andy Biersack plays the main character, but also one of the other characters is played by Ben Bruce from Asking Alexandria. And their acting is not the best. Andy both of them. Both of them do give a good performance at certain points in the movie, but a lot of things they say just doesn't really sound. They're not the best actors in the world. I see potential in them. Like if they, actually refined their craft, practiced, got a little bit more experience, I think they could actually become good actors, very good actors. It's just this being the first film they were both in, you know, their performance isn't great. Some moments are great. Like there's a scene where Andy comes back to his house to confront his mom about something, and he actually, you really feel bad for this guy. There are some scenes where their performances are very good. There's a scene where Ben Bruce's character is dealing with something on an airplane, and that's a very gut-wrenching moment too. So I mean, some of their moments in their acting are quite good, but they also have some moments where it really isn't that good. For example,
this is the religious loony from the liquor store. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, Andy, nice read there. So yeah, some of the acting is really good, and then some of it really isn't that great. So it's kind of back and forth. And a big part of the appeal and the marketing for this movie was who was in it. So I usually don't talk about acting that much in my film reviews, but seeing as how the acting was such a huge part of the marketing for this movie, and the fact that so many significant people are in this film, and I mean even really like Larry King is in a scene, John G. Alvinson, who is the director of Rocky and The Karate Kid, he's in one scene because he's actually the father of the director of this film. The director of this film is his son, so he got his dad to do a cameo right before he died. John G. Alvinson recently passed away, and he got to do a cameo in his son's movie right before he died, so that's cool. The guy playing the Angel Gabriel in this film, when you hear the Angel Gabriel, that sounds like really corny, like, oh, don't tell me this is some Sunday school movie BS. No, like, the way they portray, they never mention God in the movie, and the way they portray the Angel Gabriel, they don't portray him like an angel. They portray him just as a guy who shows up from time to time to give some advice to our characters in a very mysterious and cryptic way. He's not the stereotypical cliche angel, and I thought that was handled very well as well. Now that I'm done talking about the acting, I will talk about the story. Overall, like I said earlier, this whole idea of characters making a deal with the devil and it completely backfiring has been done to death. It's been done so many times. This film actually does it in a very unique way that we haven't, that if we've seen it before, then we haven't seen it in a long time. It's done in a very unique way. It feels like a unique film. It also feels like it is one person's vision. It doesn't feel like there's a conflict of visions. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of studio involvement, which it's an independent movie, so that makes sense. It does feel like one person's vision, and it's done in a very unique way, and it's very refreshing. The movie kind of goes in a little bit of a different direction than you would expect at the beginning, but I like that. I like that it throws some surprises in there, and you don't really. I was worried the film would basically be just Straight Outta Compton, the rock music version, with the devil added in there. Because, Straight Outta Compton, while Straight Outta Compton was a really good movie, it is kind of a similar thing. There's no supernatural element in Straight Outta Compton, of course, but, it is about, a group of musicians getting into the industry. They go through something, and then it kind of backfires, and things kind of get bad for them, and, things just steadily get worse and worse, Straight Outta Compton is kind of like that, and I was like, oh, is this just going to be Straight Outta Compton, the rock music version? And it's not. Thank goodness. In terms of the cinematography and the technical aspects of the film, they're great. Like, one of the standout things of the movie is the cinematography. It is a gorgeous looking movie. Like, it is a gorgeous looking movie. The lighting, the color grading, the set design, everything with the cinematography is just great, and it is a very, very, very nice looking movie. It's just the colors really pop out. The lighting really pops out. It's a gorgeous film. One of the biggest visual things about this film that I really liked was the fact that it's not shot like a music video. A lot of times, when making a movie about musicians, there is the temptation to film it like a music video. And that's one thing that Straight Outta Compton did. Straight Outta Compton, a lot of scenes in that movie are shot like a music video. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and I didn't really mind it in Straight Outta Compton. Because there's nothing really wrong with shooting a movie about musicians like a music video. But so many movies do it. So many movies about musicians are shot like music videos. So many movies in general are shot like music videos nowadays. So it was really nice to see that this movie is not shot like a music video. It's shot in a very cinematic way, and I really like that. Some would say, oh, the director's just trying to emulate, what he thinks in his mind is cinematic or whatever. But no, to me, this legitimately feels like his vision. It legitimately feels like what he's trying to get across and what he wants this story he's telling to be. Of course, you cannot have a movie about a rock band without some rockin' music. I hate that word, rockin'. It's so corny. Without some great music, and yes, the soundtrack to this film is great. The director of this film, Ash Alvinson, is also the owner, CEO, I don't know what the correct term is, of Sumerian Records, which is a very big record company in the rock world, and they sign a lot of well-known bands. Asking Alexandria, Palais Royale, a lot of well-known bands in the rock music industry are with Sumerian Records, and Sumerian Records is owned and run by Ash Alvinson, the director of this film, and therefore he got to use a lot of Sumerian Records music in the film. And because of that, the soundtrack is very good. Not only are they good songs, but they're well chosen. Like, there are so many parts in this movie where they'll play a song in the background as part of the score, but it's a real song, and I'll be like, that's a very well chosen song. That song fits the scene really, really well. I'm really impressed. At the end, the climax scene, I won't go into what happens, of course, I don't want to spoil anything, but the climax of the movie, that climactic scene, the song chosen for that scene is like perfect. And I'm like blown away. I'm like, wow, that was the perfect song to choose for this scene. The soundtrack is very good. Of course, because it's about a rock band, you have to have some original music for the rock band to perform in the movie. And therefore, there are several original songs written for this movie that the band performs, and they are very good as well. One of the main songs is a song called Let 'Em Burn. Let 'Em Burn is kind of the main song of the movie. It's kind of the band's biggest single in the story, and it's a really, really good song. It has a very harsh sounding name, like Let 'Em Burn, but it's a very good song. And if you know the context of the story, you get why it's called that. The music in this film is very, very good, and I would recommend, after seeing the movie, listening to the soundtrack album. There's two different soundtrack albums. There's the hold on a second. There is the soundtrack album that has all of the Sumerian Records songs and other songs that were used for the movie. And then there is the Relentless album, which is actually the album that the characters make in the movie. It has the original songs plus some covers just to make it a full album, and that is actually the album that the characters, the band in the movie, makes. The Relentless is the name of the band, the Relentless American Satan. So both albums are available. I think at the time of me filming this, the soundtrack album is not available yet. I think it comes out this Friday. But the Relentless album is already out. and I recommend listening to it. It's on Spotify. It's on a lot of the streaming things. So I recommend giving it a listen after you see this movie, because the music in the movie is very good.
Hello, world. Sorry to interrupt, especially on this crappy webcam, but I was editing this video and I realized I completely forgot to mention that something very important, especially to fans of Black Veil Brides who may be interested in seeing this movie. Andy Biersack does not use his real singing voice in the film. He is dubbed by another singer. There are two reasons for this. One, he legally couldn't use his real voice. He signed on with a different record label than the one that was doing the music for this film. But then also, the director said on Twitter that he felt Andy's real voice didn't really fit the character. Plus, he wanted people to... So really, three reasons. He wanted people also to separate his character from him. He didn't want people to just see Andy when they saw the movie. So that may be something that's disappointing to some fans of Black Veil Brides and Andy Biersack, that he does not use his real voice, but it is something important to mention. It works out fine in the film. I mean, they chose Remington Leith to dub him, who is the lead singer of Palais Royale, and he does a very good job as well. He's got a great voice. It is a little weird at first hearing that voice come out of Andy, but once you get used to it, it works fine. That's just something really important that I realized while I was editing that I totally completely forgot to mention when I filmed the review. And I actually have the editing software open right now. I'm literally just recording this really quickly and then putting it in. So dumb mistakes. We all make dumb mistakes. But yes, Andy does not use his real voice in the film, but the voice they used to dub him is quite good. Back to what I originally filmed.
But as I said before, it is not a perfect movie. It is not a perfect movie at all. There are some definite problems. Like I said before, some of the acting really isn't that strong. Also, the editing is a little weird in some places. And that's surprising, because the editor of this film was Glenn Garland, who has edited a lot of very well-known movies. I'm actually surprised they got him, to be honest. He's edited a lot of well-known movies. He's very good at what he does. And so I'm really kind of surprised that the editing feels off in some places in this movie, but it does. It's just, in certain scenes, it's a little clunky, a little wonky. But then you watch the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray and you realize how much worse it could have been. The deleted scenes aren't bad. They just, you can tell when you watch them that they would have messed with the pacing of the movie a lot and they were taken out for a reason. But yeah, the editing is a little off and a little wonky in some places, and that's really surprising given who did the editing. And there are some cliches. There are some moments that are kind of cliches in when it comes to movies about musicians or movies about rock music. There's the scene where they're recording the vocals for their album. They do the whole cliche thing where, all right, we're gonna start recording, and then he starts singing badly, and then the producer's like, no, whoa, what are you doing? All right, you need to feel it. You need to put your passion in it. And then he starts again, and he's suddenly singing. Well, that cliche. Yeah, they do that. So there are definitely some really cliche moments in this movie. So again, it has serious flaws. It's not a perfect movie. It has serious flaws. But the great things about it definitely outnumber the flaws, to the point where I would say, overall, in general, Ash Albinson's American Satan is a very, very, very good film. Even if you don't give a crap about Black Veil Brides or Andy Biersack, even if you don't give a crap about Asking Alexandria or Ben Bruce, even if you don't give a crap about rock music in general, if you're a normal dude off the street who listens to mainstream pop and has never heard a rock song in their life and has no idea who any of these people are, I think you would still enjoy the movie. It's a very well done movie, and it's not just for fans of rock music. It's a legitimately good movie in general, and it doesn't depend on a particular demographic. And that's, and you know, that's something you strive for. As a filmmaker myself, you know, that is something you definitely try to strive for. You want your films to be enjoyable to everyone, not just a particular demographic. And I think this film kind of sounds like a movie that would only be enjoyable to a certain demographic, but it's not. I think anyone can enjoy this film if they go into it with the right mindset. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching my out of character review of American Satan. It's available on all digital retailers, not Netflix unfortunately, but all the digital retailers, Vudu, Amazon Video, whatever, it's all Google Play, it's all there. You can order the DVD Blu-ray combo pack at AmericanSatanMovie.com. And yeah, even if one of my favorite actors and the lead singer of my favorite band, even if those two people weren't in this movie, it would still be very good. It is a very legitimately good movie, even without the influences of those people, and I really would like to get it more attention. It really didn't get a lot of attention. It won a lot of big awards at festivals. There were quite a few festivals where it won Best Feature, Best Director. It actually was quite a success in festivals, but it really didn't get a lot of attention at all. Probably because of the subject material. You know, rock music isn't really that big of a thing anymore. So I really hopefully with this video can give it some more attention by encouraging you guys to see it. It is a legitimately good film, and you can definitely see that everyone involved, director, actors, writers, everyone involved really put their all into it. It didn't turn out a perfect product, but it turned out a pretty good one. Thank you for watching my out of character review. That big 55-minute long Multiprometheus Prometheus 1 video is nearing completion. It should be the next video I upload, and I will see you then.